Hi everyone, it's Jo, and I'm here at HCC, and we just had an incredible conversation actually about the Cherish Act and the Promise Act, but we wanted to take it further, and we wanted to especially hear from HCC students and HCC President Dr. Royal. Today we're talking with you live from HCC about the particular reality of students and the particular barriers that students face today trying to go to college with all of the economic pressures that students are under. So I'm very, very grateful to Dr. Royal. I'm very, very grateful to Rodrigo and Ray, who are students here at HCC, for talking with us, and they're going to share some of their personal stories as a way for us to really understand the imperative to do education reform in this session of the legislature. So I'm going to turn it right now to Dr. Christina Royal, President of HCC, who's going to frame this conversation for us, and then we'll turn it over to Rodrigo and Ray to share a bit with us about their stories. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, Senator Comfort, and particularly for sponsoring the Cherish Act bill, which we know is long overdue for community college funding within the state of Massachusetts. And we are just really grateful to have support among our elected officials to be able to help advocate for the funding levels that we need to do the great work that we're doing at the community college level.
It's such an honor. And for folks who are just listening, about $9 million annually once we win the Cherish Act for an organization, an entity like HCC. So that's pretty tremendous.
Yeah, and currently when you look at the numbers, HCC gets about $5,400 per pupil for state allocation, and the state average is about $6,100. So we definitely know that when you look at the demographics of the students that we serve, particularly looking at the underrepresented students, that we need more funding to be able to provide the adequate services to continue doing the work that we're doing. But as you know, it's all about the students. It's all about who are coming here to get educated and to also continue to work on their careers. And we've got two great students with us today that I'm excited. We've got Rodrigo and Ray both here, and I want to give them an opportunity to share a little bit about their story. So maybe they'll tell us a little bit about who they are, what they're studying, and then just a little bit of their experience before we kind of banter back and forth.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Well, Coin.
How about you?
I can start.
Yeah,
Sure. So yeah, it's my first semester at HCC, and I'm 31, non-traditionally aged student. I'm here for biology, and yeah, it's been so much fun. It's been an incredible experience so far, and yeah, I guess.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Rodrigo?
Well, I'm Rodrigo, as you can tell. And I started out as a biology major, but I decided that actually I liked history, and I decided I also wanted to be a teacher. So now I'm transferring out, and this is actually my last semester. So right now I'm in the process of transferring out of HCC, and I'm going to miss it.
Great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So when you came here, as you know, we have, and Rodrigo has heard me talk about this, but there are 4 basic needs that a lot of our students experience: food insecurity, homelessness or housing insecurity, transportation, and childcare. And I was just wondering, have you guys had any experience with any one of those 4 issues?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we're at a community college, the fact is that, we are coming here because we don't have an income that allows us to be able to cheat and, like have our daddies and mommies send us to Stanford with horrible grades, because of $500 million. Like, we're coming in from working class. A lot of us are working class. And that's the issues that we face structurally every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's been essential. Rosemary and the Thrive program have been so helpful throughout my whole process of even before classes started, just getting here and figuring out how to sign up for classes and taking care of all of these other details in my life to make room to be here 4 days a week, to be doing what I'm doing. It's a really intricate balance that I've had to create in my life. And it all works. But it really depends on support. Like I couldn't just do this alone. And the support has been really just wonderful.
Could you say just a couple of things about the Thrive program?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's here, it's based out of HCC.
Mhm. Yeah, it's been really helpful. During the government shutdown, there was an interruption to food stamps, and with my income, like even before I came to school, I've just for the past decade been working minimum wage retail jobs. I didn't have a degree, and and then starting school, I can only work part-time because I'm here a whole lot of the week. And so, food stamps have been essential, and those got interrupted during the government shutdown. And I was kind of like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, really. I don't have any other, options for that. And just knowing there was a food pantry and I wouldn't be hungry it meant that I wasn't carrying that extra stress and I could focus on school. And that was great.
That's amazing, and that's part of the Thrive program, the
Yeah,
food pantry?
yeah.
Yeah, our Thrive program is a program that helps move people towards financial sustainability, but it usually often starts with them coming in with some basic needs issues that have to be addressed. And so, for example, helping Ray through that type of time, helps bridge that so that she can be in a good place to be able to then focus on thinking about, so how would I start to think about opening a savings account, and how do I start to think about, just finances in my life, so that you can create, that education around financial acumen for themselves and their families. Last year, 1,300 students accessed our food pantry out of emergency needs, and so.
And how many students total do you have at HCC?
We have 7,000 credit students.
So that's a significant percentage of students that are trying to put it together, as you said. I think that's really an important way of looking at it, right? Trying to put together education and life.
Yes.
Yes.
And so community colleges like HCC provide that kind of structure
Yeah.
on top of a great education, right? That's part of what we have to know, I think, at the state level in terms of the investment that's needed, right? That going to school is essential for all of the things you actually said today, Dr. Royal.
Yeah. Well, I also think that these students that are struggling with a lot of basic needs, security issues, are the types of students that are very motivated to change their lives, right? They're here to create a better life for themselves and their families, and so I think it's imperative that we create opportunities to help them get through those times so that they can go on and be vibrant citizens and have great jobs and contribute back to our economy.
Can you restate the return on investment for HCC? So every single state dollar, get this everybody, that goes into HCC, what's the return on investment?
The return on investment for taxpayers is $1.80. The return for students who invest $1 in their education is $3.20. And the return on investment for society is $6.30.
That's an incredible return on investment, for the individual student, for the taxpayers, and then of course for our Commonwealth.
So I'm curious, Senator, what prompted you to support a bill like this?
It's a good question. So when I campaigned to run for public office, I actually campaigned on public education, pre-K through higher ed. So I say pre-K through 16. I grew up with teachers as parents and a social worker, as an aunt who helped raise me, and I see the way that education, especially public education, levels the playing field. And so that it's not only about the simple getting a good education, and you said this well, I think beautifully, in terms of our democracy needing an informed and engaged electorate, and We all need that kind of intellectual curiosity and foundation to be able to participate and to make government work better, and Lord knows it needs to work better. Like, we need that, that's part of it, but then there's a piece of this, and I know you all know this about equity, right? About how our structural systems currently are not set up as fairly as we need them to be, right? And part of, I want to do that, I want to be part of that, but I know that education is a major piece of it. We already know that education can start to shift structural inequities. And so those two things, right, the democracy piece and the shifting the structural inequities piece makes, for me, public education a no-brainer. And so when the MTA came to me with the Cherish Act, I said, yes, please. Because Sonia Chang Diaz, my colleague in the Senate, had filed the Promise Act, and I think it's a great bill. I want to fight for it, and I will. But this is a way that I can roll up my sleeves and do some work, right, in the higher ed piece.
So, Rodrigo, you mind sharing about why you're in school? Why is education important to you?
Well, actually, there was something I wanted to say.
Yeah,
it's not with that. It was actually about Thrive.
Oh, great.
And actually how they help me, because they don't just do food insecurity. They also help me a lot when it came to housing insecurity. For the first semester, or really first 2 semesters, or not really. Yeah, pretty much. For about 3 semesters, and this being my last 4th semester, I was pretty much couch hopping. So I was jumping around from, my mom was a 1-bedroom apartment, so I was in with my little brother. So I was sleeping in the living room there. I was sitting at my aunt's living room on her couch, and I was sleeping at my ex-girlfriend's, at that time girlfriend's place. And she was food insecure. So I didn't know what to do, so I came into Thrive, and she actually now thinks Rosemary, I actually have an apartment. And it was really tough getting through school doing that, and but definitely having the apartment has made things a lot easier. And I remember you guys talking about how you want to stop tuition rates to make it easier for college students, but the problem is that that's not going to be enough.
Right.
And the reason I'm saying this is because the fact is that even if, for example, tuition freezes right now, right, every other cost is still going to go up. Housing, I live in Amherst, and my ex-girlfriend was living in Amherst when I was living with her part-time. And the fact was that, every year, rent would go up $50, $50, $50, $100 every 2 years, and that's for a one-bedroom apartment. There aren't any affordable housing. There's not affordable housing in Amherst. I have friends that have left Amherst and now live in Greenfield, even though they grew up in Amherst their entire life, because they can't afford a place to live there. And the fact is that throughout Massachusetts, we're in Franklin County, I think it's like the fastest growing county in Massachusetts. The fact is that, or Hampshire County, basically the 2 fastest growing, I think. Housing is becoming more and more scarce, and the price is going up, which makes everything a lot harder. At the same time, wages aren't going up fast enough. Fact is, if I'm minimum wage, you make like $1,400 a month, full time. I know that personally, from experience. I've checked. I've double checked. You make about $1,400 a month. Rent is about $700 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. That's half your paycheck.
And I wanted to clarify for your viewers that when we talk about a student who is couch surfing, we call that housing insecure.
Yeah.
And so as we've been working at ACC on really trying to address housing insecurity and homelessness among ACC students, then it's really looking at what can we do to provide more stable housing opportunities for them while they're in school to stabilize that so they can focus on their education.
Absolutely.
It's a very distracting factor when you have to focus on real basic needs. If you haven't eaten in 3 days, or you're not sure where you're going to lay your head down that night, it's very hard to go home and think about homework and writing papers and some of those higher order types of issues. So this is a real priority for us in our current strategic plan, and we're really focusing on how we can work together to build some community connections to address this topic.
Right, right, and I just want to say that what you just said, Rodrigo, about the $500 million for the Cherish Act not being enough, you're right, it's not enough. We do have to address systemic food insecurity, affordable housing, public transportation, the network of root causes of instability that you laid out at the beginning, Dr. Royal, that's a government problem, right? Those are systemic problems, and we do have to do that work. And so it's all of a puzzle that we'll put together in this next session, which is why people who are listening, who care about this, your work is very important here, right? We need people's voices, like yours, Ray, and Rodrigo and Dr. Royal. We need people's voices at the center of this to really push the legislature to do what we know is right, which is more investment in the kind of education and social programs that actually begin that kind of virtuous cycle up.
And even though it may not be enough to achieve the ideal that we would like to see for high quality education, it is a substantial step forward if we were able to get this Cherish Act to pass and have an extra $9 million to the college, because supporting basic needs for students as well as keeping education high are the top priorities and where we invest in public education.
Before we close out, any last thoughts? This has been really a gift. You all?
Yeah.
You go first.
I just want to say that without all the support, without programs to the school that really helped me with this, I would still be working retail. It would be inaccessible to me, without the public transportation system, knowing that I will be fed if I'm hungry, knowing that if my housing falls through, there are programs that will help me. I plan to transfer to a four-year college and continue on with science as far as I can go. And one day I hope to have a really successful career in science and really make a contribution. And without this support in the beginning for me, none of that would be possible. So, yeah.
Thank you. Rodrigo?
This is really important to me because not only am I a student, but I plan to also be a teacher. So the fact is that I'm going to be dealing with basically the education infrastructure in Massachusetts for a long time.
So we should get it right.
Yes. So right now it's systemically people are put obstacles to be not able to attend school. I have friends that had to drop out because that went here. Because specifically they couldn't afford to go here and work full time. And that was something and people that do, like, you meet them and it's like, God damn. Sorry, I can't start here.
I think everybody's okay.
They're honestly amazing. So instead of having a system or trying to patch up a system that systemically leaves people or pushes people out of education, I hope that we can build a system that systemically instead makes it almost impossible for them not to be able to get an education.
Oh, perfect.
That's great.
Dr.
Yeah. No, I don't think I could say it any better than that, but I do want to thank you for not only visiting the college, being a very accessible leader, but also advocating for the issues that most affect our community, so thank you.
Well, it's a privilege to do it, and it's a privilege to actually talk with folks through Facebook and this funny Facebook Live that we continue to do. So remember, the Cherish Act, which is the greater investment for public higher education, the Promise Act, which is K through 12, they're not going to happen unless we have full court, as many people would use a sports metaphor, press on these, right? So the hearings begin this week for the Promise Act. There's a public higher ed day on Thursday, the hearing on Friday, and it's good to be with you all, and it's really good to be with you all in trying to get it done this session in the legislature. Okay.
Great.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.